AITA for holding to my rules about paying for my children's education. I am a single mother to three daughters, twins, 21F, and Alice, 19F. I told my daughters since they were in elementary school that if they pursued higher education, I would pay for it. They would not have to take out loans or worry whatsoever. This applied to any sort of program, university, community college, trade, etc. My only rules were that they were to share their grades with me at the end of each semester, of course, and that they must go straight into whatever program they chose. No gap years or going back to school when they were older. I always encouraged college, but in no way forced it. One of my twins took me up on this, and she is currently a senior with a major in psychology, and my other twin did not, and is currently in the tattoo artist industry. They are both kicking ass, and I'm equally proud of them both. However, Alice informed me while she was a senior in high school that she wanted to take a gap year. When I asked what she planned to do during this gap year, she said something like, relax before having to be in the real world. She said she wanted to go to college, just not right away. She also said she did not plan to work during this time. I told her she had the whole summer to relax, but she held strong and wanted her gap year. I said fine, but not to expect me to fund her schooling a year from now. She brushed me off. If she had planned to do something productive, or literally anything with the gap year, internship, etc., I would have had a different attitude towards this. Flash forward to September, and Alice has done exactly that for the last 4 months. Relax. She sleeps until 2 and has not gotten a job. She has a car and the means to do so, but simply does not wish to. The topic of her going to school next year got brought up by her, and she asked if I would pay. I said no, and that she knew this. I told her I would be happy to help her, but would not be paying in full. She blew up on me, asking if I was serious and saying how unfair I was. She yelled at me and called me a bitch for paying for her sister's college in full, but not hers. I reminded her of our conversation and how she knew my stance since she was a little girl. I also asked her if she had applied for scholarships or done anything to start trying to help with these funds. She had not. I told her since I was retiring in 2025, I did not have the funding to pay for her schooling in full anymore, and that I had to start thinking about saving for myself and my future. I said she had missed her chance. She is very angry and has barely been speaking to me. I feel bad, but I also don't. I feel like this will be the first of many things in her life to teach her some responsibility. She had her opportunity to have her schooling paid for, and she knew this, but chose to do nothing for a year. She can absolutely still go to college, and I will help foot the bill, but she would definitely have to take out some loans. I'm really not sure how to talk to her about this. AITA? OP is not an AH for sticking to the long set rules about funding her daughter's educations. She had one prerequisite for funding that they do it uninterruptedly. Alice knowingly and deliberately failed to meet the prerequisite since she is taking a gap year for no productive purposes. It was on the cards that OP would not give full financial support. Besides, OP is ready to share partially, which means she is not being totally unfair. That's the lesson of responsibility, and also, opportunities are limited. In this regard, OP is being very reasonable and within the boundaries she had set long ago. Let's jump to the next story. AITA for not helping my locked out roommate and being petty. I, 20th, do not get along with my roommates. 19F. They tend to gang up on and blame me for things because they are all friends and they treat me as if I am stupid. I obviously fight back, so now we all mostly ignore each other. Another thing is, I usually spend most of my time at my boyfriend's, 20 meters place. But this is only because of how much I cannot stand my roommates. Sometimes if I have to collect things from my room or get a package, my BF will come with me and wait. But the last time this happened, my roommates, who were all home, approached him and started asking him why he was dating me of all people and just being passive-aggressive overall. They said things like, "Oh, you guys just don't look that good together," and "I never would have guessed you two would ever date," or "I can imagine you with X type of girl, not her." One was being super touchy as well. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I was uncomfortable and my BF got bad vibes as well, so now he waits in the car. Anyways, I was at work when one roommate called. I was confused because that never happens, but, well, I answered and she told me that she lost her key and has been locked out of the house. She wanted me to let her in. I explained to her that I'm at work, and she suggested I hand the key over to my BF and have him open the door for her. I said sorry and to ask someone else. She said everyone else is busy. I said I am too. She said, I bet your BF isn't. And I said, well, he is. Ask one of your friends instead of bothering me. Then hung up. Well, apparently she was locked out till 10 p.m. at night. No, I didn't check up on her because I didn't care. And when I went back home the other day, that roommate and one other were annoyed with me and said that they couldn't believe I would let a young girl stay out all night and that I need to put my ego aside for things like this. They also accused me of not trusting my BF and being insecure, having an unstable relationship. I told them that there were 5 other girls and 2 of them have BFs too, she could have asked them, especially since they're all such good friends. But she changed the topic back to me wanting her to stay out all night and possibly get hurt. Which is ridiculous, I genuinely don't care. I told her to get over herself and that she could have waited at a cafe or a library or school, everything 5 minutes away and open till 11 p.m., instead of trying to make a scene and wait outside for 5 hours just because my BF wouldn't come open the door for her. She then asked if I even asked him, but I just left because, what? LOL. Anyways, my other roommates think I'm horrible, more than before, and that I'm petty and not a girl's girl. I didn't respond to their messages. I have to stay at my house for 2 days straight next week, so I'm just wondering if maybe I am the AH here. If so, I will apologize. But otherwise, I can deal with their bullshit. AITA? If it matters, my BF was in fact busy, but said he wasn't going to go either way. OP is not the AH because she won't help her roommate, especially considering hostile and disrespectful behavior on the part of the roommates to her in the past. It's unfair that they would expect OP or her boyfriend to go out of their way to assist them when other options were available, like asking closer friends or waiting in nearby public spaces. Not being a girl's girl is just a guilt trip, considering the toxic dynamic. OP isn't responsible for her roommates' poor planning and doesn't owe them favours when they've been unkind. Let's jump on to the next story. AITA for refusing to babysit my dad's fiance's kids during their wedding. My dad and his fiancée, Kirsten, both late 30s, are getting married in January. Kirsten has 3 kids under 8. Dad has me, 17 Ms. My mum died 11 years ago. Kirsten's ex-husband is alive, but doesn't play a role in the lives of their kids, except child support, which is apparently taken from his income because he wasn't paying. Her kids don't remember their dad, and so Dad and Kirsten are hoping Dad will become their new dad. I met Kirsten 4 to 5 months ago, and her kids around the same time, and given my age and the fact I did fine with just me and Dad, I'm not looking for Kirsten to fill any sort of maternal or motherly role. I also don't think I'll be engaging with Kirsten's kids as a sibling. This upsets her because she wanted me to be the cool older sibling for them, and someone who might babysit on occasion. But mostly someone who'd make a point to spend time with them. But I'm not planning on spending too much time with them. I have plans for once I turn 18. My dad always knew this, so this has fed into the whole babysitting the kids during the wedding stuff. Kirsten says since I won't be 18 when they get married and I'll still be living with my dad, I should be willing to monitor her kids throughout the wedding. My dad admitted she's hoping it makes me a little more willing to be someone to her kids. I said no when I was initially asked, and I was clear with my no. Kirsten told me it wasn't like I was looking forward to the wedding anyway, so why not agree to babysit? She told me it would give me the chance to bond with her kids. I said no. Dad said he'd pay me to do it if I was agreeable to money for it. But then Kirsten was saying it would be hurtful if I wouldn't do it as a favor to my growing family. Dad told her it was expecting a little too much. She argued that if I'm there and still living with him, I should be willing, and that I seem so resistant to acting like a sibling that it's incredibly childish. There was some more back and forth about it. Kirsten got really pissed when I said it again, as clearly as I could, that I won't babysit during the wedding. Dad said he'd pay for a sitter, but Kirsten said I should really be more willing here. That Dad and I don't have an awful relationship, so why won't I give all this a chance and make the day less expensive and more of a happy memory for everyone? AITA? The OP isn't an AH for refusing to babysit during his father's wedding. It is unfair on Kirsten's part to expect him to take on a parental or sibling role. That is out of order. And he has also made it plain he isn't interested. That is a big ask, babysitting at a wedding, let alone such an important event for the OP's dad. Quite understandably, he'd want to enjoy it, or at least be free to attend the wedding without this added responsibility. His boundaries are pretty clear here, and Kirsten's persistence regarding these expectations does feel like emotional manipulation. OP is entitled to his feelings and choices about the dynamic that's evolving in his family. Let's jump to the next interesting story. AITA for calling the non-emergency hotline when I smelled gas instead of calling my landlord. I, 25F, just called the non-emergency hotline because I smelled gas in my apartment, and my landlord, around 60 me, loudly scolded me in front of all of my neighbours. Am I in the wrong here? I smelled a little bit of gas earlier today, around 5 p.m, and didn't think much of it, but when I returned home at 11 p.m, the smell was overwhelming. I wasn't sure what to do, so I called the non-emergency hotline, checked in with my neighbours, it's a multiplex, and texted my landlord to let him know the fire department was on the way. My neighbours also smelled the gas, but it wasn't as strong for them. The fire department came very quickly, and my landlord was right behind them. There were lights everywhere, 2 fire trucks, everyone was watching, and I felt really embarrassed. It turns out my next-door neighbours had just moved out, and the gas smell came from the lines being shut off in their apartment. I'm not sure I understand, but when they opened the door to my neighbour's apartment, the smell was really strong. I could smell it 15 feet away. The firemen left pretty soon after that and said it wasn't an issue. But as soon as they stepped away, my landlord started berating me in front of my neighbours for not calling him first. He said that this has happened before. I should have known that the smell was there because my neighbour moved out. I didn't even know that they'd moved, and that the last time this happened to him, they shut the gas off for months and fined him thousands of dollars. I asked him if we were going to get our gas shut off, or if he was going to get fined because of me, and he said, not yet. But it was clear he was mad. Normally I would have called him first, but it was 11 p.m, and I didn't know if he would respond or what he could have done in an emergency. AITA here? I didn't think it seemed like something to call my landlord about, but my city doesn't have a super reliable government usually, so maybe there was an unspoken rule that I should have known, or maybe the neighbour moving out thing was common knowledge. NTA. OP was right in dialing the non-emergency phone number because they smelled gas. That could have been serious for safety, so it is always better to be on the safe side in some of these situations regarding gas leaks. The landlord seems really angry for no good reason. OP took care in a responsible manner for their protection and the protection of those neighbours. Not to mention, it is unrealistic to expect any tenants to know about gas line shutdowns, particularly when that situation happened late into the night. The landlord should be grateful to OP, as safety above all needs to be tantamount. Let's now jump to the next story. AITA for refusing to throw away a bunch of my clothes because my partner thinks I have too many? My partner, 41M, and I, 34F, moved into a new home recently. He is paying for the home as well as the vast majority of our expenses. He is well off, and my net worth is about 3% of his. In our home, we have a walk-in closet. Currently, I use 60% of the closet, he uses 20%, and 20% is unused and available for him to use. In addition to the closet space in our bedroom, we currently have 2 guest bedrooms with large closets as well. Prior to purchasing our new home, we lived separately. When moving here, I was very deliberate about which of my clothes I was bringing and used it as an opportunity to get rid of a ton of items of clothes that I no longer want. My partner has said to me, "Hey, I want us to go through your clothes and decide which ones we're keeping and which ones you don't wear or use and we should get rid of. I responded, okay, we can, but I already did that and I only brought over the clothes I know I want to keep, so I don't think this is necessary and won't lead to me getting rid of them. He responded that he still wanted to go through them. It's fine if we don't end up getting rid of anything, but also that he doesn't want to bring junk into our new home and that I have too many clothes. He also offered that we could go through his things and do the same, but I said that I don't have any problem with how many clothes he has, and I'm not concerned about what he keeps, doesn't keep. To me, this whole thing is unnecessary, and I don't even see why it needs to be an issue. We have the space, I already did what he is asking me to do on my own, and also I'm having a hard time seeing why this even matters, is an issue. This isn't the first time this has come up. He's brought it up multiple times, leading to a similar conversation, though last night was especially vitriolic. I got upset about it when we were discussing it last night and said, why can't I bring what I want into our new home? And he said, fine, I don't care, bring anything, and why don't you pay for everything too? And then he left because he needed a break. Read it? Am I being unreasonable here? Edit. I did change the above text to that he wanted us to go through my clothes together, not that he wanted to do it himself to be more clear. NTA. OP is not an AH for not wanting to sort through her clothes again. She already went through her wardrobe before she moved and only brought along things that she had space for. To insist more than once feels controlling rather than practical in light of the ample storage they have. An argument that didn't need to escalate ended up doing so, with her partner making a comment about finances, which feels unfair. It's completely up to OP what she wants to keep, especially when that doesn't affect his living space or his needs. It seems more that this was about boundaries rather than an actual closet. Bye-bye for now. Let's see you tomorrow.